state of Ohio has. And that job is to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt for every crime charged. This is a serious case. This is a serious matter. And some of the subject matter is difficult. But we ask you to pay attention, to listen to the evidence, to hear from the witnesses, and give us your full attention. It's incredibly important that you know what happened to Alianna last January. We deserve your full attention during the pendency of this trial, and we ask for it. As you learn over the last few weeks, coming in filling out your questionnaire, engaging on the one-on-one voir dire, and during the general voir dire, this case is the state of Ohio versus Christopher Whitaker. What you will learn during the pendency of this trial is that Mr. Whitaker was born in 1973, and you will learn what happened and transpired back in January of 2017 to Alianna DeFreeze. You will learn that Alianna DeFreeze is a 14-year-old girl. She's a 7th grader at E-Prep and Village Prep, Woodland Hills Academy. You will learn from witnesses Alianna's typical day. That Alianna has to take 2 RTA buses to school. She has to take the 14 bus. She has to take the 10 bus. And then she arrives at her school a little bit before 7 a.m. on a typical day because she starts tutoring at the school. This map shows you approximately where Ms. Cooper, Alianna's mom, lives with Alianna, and the route she takes to school every morning. She takes the 14 bus, East 93rd, and then typically picks up the 10th bus to her school. You will learn that approximately a year ago, on the morning of January 26, 2017, Alianna never shows up to school. That her mother is unaware that she didn't arrive at school that day. And it's only after her mother, Ms. Cooper, calls the school, Alianna never arrived at school. Her immediately calls the Cleveland Police Department. You'll hear from the 4th District of the Cleveland Police Department, the CSU unit, the gang unit, and the FBI, that this was a all-hands-on-deck situation. The officers were called in on their days off, they worked their days off, and were scouring the neighborhood looking for Alianna. They were looking up and down East 93rd, they were looking up and down Kinsman Avenue, they were looking at vacant homes, vacant businesses, all in the hope of finding out where Alianna was. That occurred from January 27th, 28th, and 29th. January 29th of 2017, and at approximately 7:30 p.m., unfortunately, Alianna's body was discovered. She was discovered at an abandoned vacant home just off of East 93rd on Fuller Avenue at 9412 Fuller Avenue by 2 4th District Cleveland police officers. And she was found just down the street route that she takes every day. And when Officers Cloud and Officers Burton entered the home at 9412 Avenue, they they saw at the scene. They discovered Alianna's body folded up in the corner of the room. Obviously, and they immediately called it in, and Homicide arrived on scene to unfortunately transition this case from a missing person case to a homicide investigation. Detective Carlin and Detective Etna arrive and start their homicide investigation. You'll learn the many pieces of evidence that the homicide unit, with Detective Carlin and Detective Etna, are able to gather and lead to the eventual arrest and indictment of the defendant. They're able to secure RT bus video showing when and how and at what time Alianna got off the bus. They were able to locate church video of the exterior on East 93rd, showing Alianna moving up and down East 93rd Street and encountering a gentleman. And you'll be able to find out that homicide detectives were able to recover evidence at the crime scene that matches Alianna's DNA, evidence at the crime scene that matches items of clothing worn by the defendant, and finally, evidence from Alianna's body herself that matches the of the defendant. You'll see RT bus video showing Alianna riding the bus to school on January 26, 2017. You'll see her encounter a gentleman, the defendant, from a church video from January 26, 2017. You'll witness and see maps of where all business and criminal locations are located. You'll have her residence, McDonald's, the crime scene. You'll also learn that a pair of boots from the defendant were recovered, and they were analyzed by the Trace Evidence Department, and that his boots matched footprints, bloody footprints, from inside the scene of 9412 Fuller Avenue. You'll also hear evidence that there were many tools recovered from inside the residence at 9412 Fuller Avenue, and that these tools were examined by forensic scientists at the medical examiner's office, and that these tools had blood on them and had the DNA profile of Alianna DeFreeze on several tools recovered from the scene. A nut driver, a box cutter, an electric drill, and a putty knife, all having Alianna's DNA on them. You'll learn further DNA testing that was done on and from in Alianna's body, that there was seminal material recovered, and that seminal material was recovered on her vagina and labia, and that it matches the major DNA component from the defendant. You'll hear that this defendant was interviewed following his arrest, and he gave a statement to Detective Carlin and Detective Etna. First, minimizing what he knew about the case. First, telling police detectives that they never met Alianna before. And then finally, admitting to Detective Carlin and Detective Etna that he hit her, blacked out, dragged her to the closet, but allegedly can't remember what transpired. You'll also hear finally from Dr. Dolnak, who is the forensic pathologist in this case, about his examination of Alianna's body and what he was able to determined from his external and internal examination. He had many wounds that were on her head, neck, and torso. You'll hear from him that this case is a homicide, that she had multiple injuries to her body, but most specifically, that a lot of these injuries, many of these injuries suffered by Alianna were suffered while she was still alive. That the injuries on her head that are consistent with some of those tools recovered showed signs of healing. So they were inflicted on her while she was still alive and in that home at 9412 Fuller Avenue. And the doctor will point out to you exactly which of these injuries on her head and face, match up with those tools that were recovered at 9412 Fuller Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious case with difficult subject matter. The state of Ohio welcomes its burden in this case to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Whitaker committed every single crime in this indictment. And we can tell you the story of what happened to Alianna, not because we want to, but because we have to. Because she deserves justice, and we have the burden to show exactly what Mr. Whitaker did to that girl. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Earlier today, on the jury view, and over the next several days here in this courtroom, you're going to hear about the events that led to the tragic death of Alianna DeFreeze. You're going to hear that Mr. Whitaker's DNA was present on her body. You're going to hear that Mr. Whitaker went into the police and made a full confession. You're going to see that. The first time he talks to the police, it's approximately 2 hours and 45 minutes. The next day he talks to the police for a little bit over an hour at his request. You're going to hear that, yes, initially he did say that he hadn't been there, he didn't know what happened, he'd gone in to steal a water heater, but then very quickly, and you'll see this because it's on videotape, it'll be played for you, you'll see that he accepts responsibility for the things that he did. You'll be able to watch that. You'll see that he cooperates with the detectives. They read him his rights and tell him he could have a lawyer. He says, I don't want a lawyer. They do that on both occasions. I don't need a lawyer with me. I'll talk to you. They ask him for his DNA and tell him that he doesn't have to give it. They can go to a judge or file a warrant. He volunteers and says, take my DNA. Take it today. When he goes in to see the police, they take his clothes off, layer by layer, and they photograph him. They put the clothes in evidence bags to preserve them. He volunteers to them. These aren't the clothes I was wearing. He tells them what clothes he was wearing. And he tells them where they can find them. He signs a consent form. He says, this is the house they're in. This is where I was staying. They even show him a picture of the house, and he tells them which room to go to find the clothes. Go find the clothes that I had on when I did this. I'm not fighting this. I'm not asking for a lawyer. They show him pictures of foot impressions. Now they've taken Timberland boots off of him the night that he gives his statement. And he tells them, though, I have to tell you, those aren't the boots I was wearing that night. I'm going to cooperate with you. Here's where the boots are that I had on that night. This is what I did. I'm taking responsibility for it. one point, Mr. Whitaker says to the detectives, I take responsibility and I don't want to make a circus out of this. I did it. I'm sorry. People will think I'm a monster. I was under the influence of drugs. I blacked out. I want to apologize to her family, even though they'll never accept it. And I don't want to make a circus out of this. And that started that night. It extended to yesterday when Mr. Mack got up in voir dire and told you, we aren't contesting these charges. Mr. Whitaker, in his direction, is why Mr. Mack told you that, in his direction, that he doesn't want to make a circus out of this. That's why Mr. Mack got up yesterday and told you, we aren't contesting liability. But Mr. Whitaker's direction is why I'm standing here today, telling you again, we're not contesting that. We're not contesting that he did it. We're not contesting that he's taking responsibility for the awful things that you saw here in opening statement, the awful things you saw in the jury view, and unfortunately the awful things you're about to see over the next several days. You were told yesterday, there's a process that we have to go through to get to this next phase. And we're not trying to make a circus out of it. We're not trying to contest it. But we as a society have a process in capital murder cases. When death is an option in our society, there's a process that has to be followed. The state has to respect that and go through it, as I told you, and we have to do the same. So again, watch his statement when he says it. I don't want to make a circus of this. And that's why we're standing before you here today, accepting responsibility. Throughout the days when we spoke to each of you individually, and you received instructions in small groups, and yesterday when we talked to you in a larger group, we talked about this process that we have, and the things that we have to go through to get there. What I'm going to ask you to do here today, and I think the state would concur, and certainly the judge has instructed you under your oath, is don't form an opinion until we get to the end. Don't be reading a book and get halfway through it and set it down on the table and say, I know how that's going to happen. Please don't do that. This process deserves more. We as a society have that process. Please listen to all of the evidence. Please remember the things that you heard throughout your instructions in this process. You heard what aggravating circumstances are. Those aren't the murder itself, and the kidnapping, the rape, and the aggravated murder. Please don't put that book down and form an opinion when you see these awful things until you've heard mitigation, until you've heard the whole thing, until you get to the last page of the book. Please remember all the instructions you got. Instructions regarding unanimous verdicts, the difference between the two phases. Please think of all those things as you listen to what's coming over the next several days. Mr. Whitaker doesn't want to make a circus of this. We don't intend to do anything to do that. Okay, all we ask you to do, please, if you're going through this book, it is State of Ohio versus Christopher Whitaker. Don't write the ending until you've heard of it.